Hi, this is Chad, VP of Products, and in this video we're going to take a look at the newest plugin from Harrison Audio called DeNoiser. Now Harrison, amongst other things, has a great legacy in the broadcast and film industries, creating great post-production tools to make sure that all the audio you're hearing while you're watching sounds perfect. And this new plugin is a chip off that same legacy and brings another post-production tool to your DAW. In this case, DeNoiser is focused on reducing any noise that might have been captured when trying to record voices. That can be interviews, dialogue in a movie, anything like that, where there might have just been a little too much going on in the background that would kind of be distracting. So whether you are a professional engineer in these fields, or if you're just getting started making your own content like podcasts or YouTube videos, DeNoiser is a great way to ensure that everything said comes through nice and clear without distractions. So let's dive into this plugin and see how it works. Okay, so here is the Harrison DeNoiser plugin. And as you can probably tell already, I've got my microphone running through this thing, so we can hear how it affects my voice as I tweak things in real time. And this is possible because this is a zero latency plugin. Absolutely zero samples used for this processing. So you could even use this in a real-time context like I'm doing right now. So if you've got someone who's got just a little too much noise in their mic, maybe there's a wireless system that just kind of adds a little too much white noise, you could already be using this to just attenuate that down and clean it up in a live setting. It doesn't have to be used on recorded material. But yeah, let's just do a quick walkthrough of the UI here. To begin with, there is an input meter and threshold slider. There is a frequency analyzer here, which includes this green line that is the noise fingerprint. And there will also be some red lines showing up at the top. Like you can see that I'm making them show up here with these sliders. And these refer to the frequency attenuation bands. So there are 6 sliders here that allow me to choose the attenuation profile across the spectrum. And even though there are 6 bands here, just know that there are actually 18 different bands of expansion happening inside this plugin. There's just 6 controls to make dialing in the shape a little easier rather than having to dial in 18 different sliders. But it is 18 running in the background to create the smoothest sound in the end. Now, what bands these sliders correspond to are dictated by this selector over here on the left. So right now, with full range selected, we can see that this display goes from 20 Hertz all the way up to 18K. So yeah, this first slider down here is adjusting things from about 20 to 50. This next one here has got it from about 50 to 200, and so on, all the way up to the top of the range. But if you've got some noise that is maybe only in one particular area of the frequency spectrum, like right now, if we look, there's a kind of a constant low rumble down there. I can actually just switch this to low. And now we are looking entirely at the low frequency, so 20 to 400 Hertz. And now these sliders will just be focused in on that range, allowing me to configure the noise reduction profile just for the low frequencies while everything else above it stays nice and clean. Similarly, I could choose high. Maybe there's just some high frequency hiss coming from tape or something like that. I could just attenuate out the high frequencies while leaving everything below nice and clean. But anyway, let's go ahead and switch back to full range, and let me just kind of show you how this works. I'm going to dial in something extremely extreme here, just to kind of illustrate the point. This isn't the actual sound you'll go for, but this just kind of shows how the parts work together. I'm going to set the threshold all the way up so that no matter what I say, I actually never hit the threshold. And this means right now that the plugin is going to try to attenuate any frequency I tell it to. And I tell it which frequencies to attenuate with these sliders. So if I start turning these down, you can see there's a red attenuation line appearing in the display, and we are losing the low frequency content in my voice. I can keep doing this, and now low mids are gone, mids are gone, yeah, and we keep taking things out until just sibilance left, and now there's almost nothing, right? So this is 24 dB of attenuation across all bands. That's the maximum amount of attenuation that DeNoiser is going to do. We're not going to take it to minus infinity, because if you're trying to get rid of that much noise, you've actually got a bad recording to begin with. But yeah, minus 24 is about as far as you can go while being able to still keep things sounding natural when they work. So this isn't responding to my voice at all because the threshold is so high. But I'm going to go ahead and start pulling this down, and you'll notice that once I reach a certain point, once that the signal at the bottom starts to pass that green threshold line, then the red section starts to open up, right? We're starting to see green areas exposed, and that is where sound is now being let through. And so with this all the way down at the bottom, now my voice actually comes through anytime I talk. We can see that this is opening up to let my voice through. And yeah, if I set this to awful, now it's really going to get out of the way anytime I talk, whereas good is just going to be a little more subtle. Yeah, this is kind of a subtle fix, which sounds nice, but awful is kind of exaggerating the opening and closing, which can be important if there is actually a lot of signal or noise in the background. But yeah, so this sounds pretty good, and you've probably noticed that my room has almost completely disappeared this way. If I were to turn this off, this is what I would normally sound like, and yeah, you can even hear maybe a little bit of the ringing of the drum hardware behind me. But when I turn this back on, bang, there's nothing. Everything is nice and tight now. So even without noise, this is already kind of really getting rid of room sound. So if you are doing something in a very reverberant room, this can help reduce that effect. But in the case we saw earlier, there's kind of just low frequency rumble in here. This is a quiet room, obviously. So I actually don't need to attenuate these high frequencies. That's not actually helping anything. It's making things sound actually a little unnatural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back off the attenuation on these upper frequencies and just leave the attenuation down on the low frequencies like this. So if I were to bring this up a little bit, now the rumbling is gone. But the rest of my voice sounds totally fine. You can hear the room. There's still a little bit of attenuation going on here, so it's definitely brought it down. We can A/B it really quick. If I hold this button, it's a temporary bypass of the plugin, and then I release it, and it goes back on. If it's just a fast click, it stays bypassed, and then a fast click restores it again. So that's a quick way to A/B between everything. But yeah, I think this is actually sounding pretty nice. Considering that there's actually not a lot of noise in here to begin with, but just cleaning up a little bit of rumble and a slight bit of reflections in here when it's on. But let's go ahead and step this up a notch. I'm going to clear this, so we are back to just hearing full spectrum again. And I have a fan over here I'm going to turn on. There it is. I think you all can hear it now. And so that's just going to be introducing some noise across the entire spectrum here. And so what I'm going to want to do with this is start turning down the various bands to get rid of that sound as much as I can. And I'm going to start by, I'm assuming there's some high frequencies from the fan. This is probably really close to white noise in some ways. It actually looked like it did add a lot of rumble too. More than was there before. Oh yeah, there's a lot there. Not so much there. Oh yeah, I hear that. Okay, so now with this like this, I've been able to get rid of most of the fan noise, right? You hardly hear it. If I were to turn this off, there's the fan again, right? And you can hear it clearly in the background. But as soon as I turn this off, now we're just kind of left with my voice and the fan is mostly gone. Very cool. In fact, if I wanted to, I could probably maybe just kind of focus this on the high mid. And now that leaves the lower end of my voice alone. Or I could just focus on the low mids and try to get rid of the rumble while leaving the high end clear. And as you can see, the articulations on my voice, the sibilants and things are coming through nice and clear now because they're actually not really being attenuated at all. So this is really just focusing on the low and mid rumble. Big difference with it on and off, but my voice still sounds nice and clean. Very cool. All right, so let's try this out in a few other environments. Let's get this thing outside and see how it works with some more aggressive noise profiles. Okay, so here we are outside. This is a fairly quiet little park. There's a little bit of car noise, some people walking, bike, phone. Yeah, there's just noises here, but it's pretty light, so it's pretty easy for Harrison DeNoiser to just bring it down a little bit so that the dialogue stays clear, but all the background noise really just dips away. Well, now we've got something a little more difficult. Maybe you've decided you want to shoot a piece about traffic in your neighborhood, so you come out to one of the busiest roundabouts in the city and start shooting your video. Well, thanks to Harrison DeNoiser, you can bring down the sound of all the ambient traffic that's driving around and still make your dialogue intelligible to your viewers. Or maybe you come down to the busiest part of the city to do a man-on-the-street interview, going up to some random people, ask them some questions with all the noise of the city around you, including water features. Well, thanks to Harrison DeNoiser, you can bring the ambient sound down and keep the dialogue nice and intelligible. DeNoiser for the win. You can also use DeNoiser to denoise instruments. The Juno 106 has a notoriously dirty chorus. Oh yeah, that's really bad. And there we go. Nice and clean with DeNoiser. So those are the basic ins and outs of Harrison DeNoiser. Now there's a few ways you can get your hands on this plugin. First of all, you can just go to store.harrison.com and buy a license. It'll just be yours perpetually to keep. But if you are a subscriber to either SSL Complete or the Complete Access subscriptions, well then you already have access to Harrison DeNoiser. It's part of both subscriptions. Just open up the download manager and download it and install it, and it'll be ready to use in your DAW. But if you want to give it a try first and you're not yet a subscriber, just head on over to solidstatelogic.com or slatedigital.com, either one, and sign up for the trial to the Complete Access subscription. While that trial is running, you get access to all the Harrison plugins, all the Solid State Logic plugins, and all the Slate Digital plugins as well, including the Academy educational videos, the Virtue Auto Mastering System, and the Slate Sound Sample Library. All of that stuff is included in the Complete Access subscription. It's a crazy value. I definitely recommend you check it out. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.